Your body is a temple, and you wouldn't fill a temple with crisps. How desperate you are. No urinating on campus facilities.
I was recently stolen back to the days of my youth. Yes, after inadvertently trapping myself in the airing cupboard, what did I come across but my old wooden tennis clogs? It had been too long since I thought about my days on the university tennis team. It was said that the mere sound of our carved shoes were enough to cause eruptions of rosy cheeks and giggling on campus, although some believed that it had something to do with our shorts. Whatever happened to wooden tennis shoes anyway? The visual spectacle of tennis used to be accompanied by a positive symphony, a sound like a company of coconuts dancing on a ballroom floor. Only wooden tennis clogs can produce such an enchanting auditory experience. But what do they wear now? Ghastly, squeaky things. And for what? Added grip? Light weight? It's practically cheating.
Temple with crisps. Attention, your finger is not a toothbrush. Assistant to the library. Thank you.
The rise of the synthetic shoe is not confined to the tennis court, sadly. I'm sure many long-time listeners know that I visit Confetto's Cobblers once a year and treat myself to a pair of brogues, or loafers if I'm feeling scandalous. On my most recent visit, however, I was horrified to find that my dear cobbler had been replaced with an establishment by the name of the Shoe Zoo. But can one truly describe their collection of footwear as a menagerie without possessing a single pair of brogues? I think not.
Are in. Wow, didn't we do well? summer break would be a convenient time for construction.
There is so much to learn in the wonderful field of gastronomy. Firstly, I suppose, that it's not an actual field, though with all the vegetables and livestock and so on, there may be rather a lot of time spent in a field. There you have it. The study of food really does cover so much ground that we only manage to scratch the surface and talk about grass. Let's have some music, shall we?
Announcement. Cheating is the wrong kind of clever. Questions. You can find the bathroom yourself. I believe in you. Milkshakes are not an appropriate breakfast.
Harrison Wolf on 2 Point Radio. Welcome to 2 Point Radio. This is Harrison Wolf, and I will be your host of this little sonic get-together. This is the party within the party. The sandwich and the lunchbox. The thing in the thing. I'll think of some words, and we'll be right back.
students are reminded to enjoy it while and if you can. Now taking students for gastronomy. Students eating rubbish are reminded that you are what you eat. Welcome to the start of a new year. I'll be your host. Hello. Please taste your own food before feeding to others. Despite the rumours, the campus grounds are not a toilet. Students are reminded to sink or swim. Frequently asked questions. I believe that smell is you.
In the news today, local film star Roderick Cushion is in a spot of bother after he was photographed throwing a bagel at some photographers. It's pretty bad luck that those freelance photographers were in his bathroom at the exact moment he decided to start flinging bagels. I mean, what are the chances?
Teachers are here to instruct and inform students on their studies, if you needed a reminder. Students eating rubbish are reminded that you are what you eat. Frequently asked questions. No, you can't have an extension. Students are reminded that you don't have to ask to go to the toilet. it. Thank you. Attention. Your finger is not a toothbrush.
I've lived in 2 Point County for more years than I can remember, but every now and then I still hear an expression for the first time. This morning, I bumped into Ricky Hawthorne, and after a nice chat, he says, "Time to see a man about a dolphin." I have no idea what it could mean. Don't tell me, though. That man's an enigma, and I choose to keep him that way.
Students are reminded that today's complaints will be tomorrow's funny stories. Eventually. Your body is a temple, and you wouldn't fill a temple with crisps. Security breach. Please change your passwords. Sorry.
Schoolwork, social life, exercise. Coward. I just can't do it all. There's only one way to fit everything in. Make your life Jumbo. Jumbo University. Be your biggest self.
Students are reminded that you don't have to ask to go to the toilet. to the toilet.
Harrison Wolf, talking the days away on 2 Point Radio. We got a lot more radical radio for you today. There will be music, there will be speaking, and if we're lucky, we'll have some county-shaking news that'll make us see life differently. Forever. But first, I gotta find my pencil. Wish me luck.
Students eating rubbish are reminded that you are what you eat. I believe that smell is you. How desperate you are. No urinating on campus facilities.
I had a pretty sweet segment lined up for you, but my producer is waving his arms at me through the glass. Yep, waving back hasn't seemed to help much. I'll see what he has to say while you listen to my new favorite song.
body's a temple, and you wouldn't fill a temple with crisps. Frequently asked questions. I believe that smell is you.
Sorry about that confusion. It was nothing serious. My producer just had certain opinions about the content I had planned. I like being censored as much as the next guy, but little did they know. They can't stop me thinking about it. The brain is the last refuge to the so-called undesirable thought. It's a party up there, and boy, is it a fun one.
Doesn't matter how desperate you are. No urinating on campus facilities. Body is a temple, and you wouldn't fill a temple with crisps. Showering is technically but not socially optional.
that's it for today's show. I don't know if it's been a classic, but who am I to say? These things need to marinate in the passing of time. Only then will we know if today was a classic day. Who knows? Maybe what I'm saying right now is making or breaking the show. Have I just ruined it? What about now? Trippy. I'll be back for more radio in the future.
Students are reminded that you don't have to ask to go to the toilet. The end of the academic year, in case you hadn't noticed. Enjoy your summer. I know I will. The summer is a good time to relax and prepare for next year. You are